Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our inoqo webinar. I'm Hélène Sauret. I'm one of the co-founder and the CMO of inoqo, and I will be your moderator today. I was looking at the list, and I'm really delighted to see so many of you today, so many retailers, food brands, manufacturers joining us, especially that it's during holiday season. It just shows how relevant and timely the topic is. So sustainability is often treated as a box to tick or just as a compliance must, but rarely as a strategic lever. But what if it could be a real driver of value? And this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. To dive into the topic, we will hear from Theresa Schlegel, Sustainability Manager at dm-drogerie markt in Germany, who will share with us how DM is creating value through product impact transparency. So maybe let's have a look at the agenda. We will start with Theresa. She will start to give us a quick introduction of DM and share details on their overall sustainability strategy. She will then deep dive into the journey towards product impact assessment. Marcus will then share some slides about inoqo and also about the choice project that we're doing together with DM. And we will end the session with an open discussion and a final Q&A with all of you. Maybe just some housekeeping points before I introduce the speakers. First and foremost, the webinar is being recorded. You will get the recording link in your email once the session is over. But you can also find the webinar on our website, inoqo.com/webinar. And actually, all our webinars are there, accessible, free to download. So feel free to browse through the gallery. We love it when the session is interactive. So I invite you all to ask any questions you have at any time during the webinar, and then you can use the Q&A box on your screen. And if there is anything we don't cover during the session, we don't have time, or we haven't answered, feel free to email us directly at hello@inoqo.com. And yes, we also have some poll questions through the session. Would be nice if you all participate. So let me introduce our speakers of today. Our guest speaker is Theresa Schlegel, Sustainability Manager at dm-drogerie markt in Germany. She's mainly responsible for all LCA, all life cycle assessment matters within DM. She works very closely with brand teams and LCA partners. And not only she analyzed the environmental impact of DM products, but she's also responsible to reduce their impact over time. I don't think I need to introduce DM, but for those who don't know, dm-drogerie markt was founded in 1973 in Karlsruhe, is the leading European drugstore retailer with a presence across 14 European countries, and they generate today close to 18 billion euro, and they employ close to 90,000 people in Europe. So you certainly already have come across them. They have 20 own retail brands in the stores. Our second speaker is Marcus Linder. He's the CEO and the founder of inoqo. He's an impact entrepreneur, an impact investor, a founder and a keynote speaker with a rich experience spanning over 15 years in the startup scene. He founded his first startup, Zoo, in 2006. And under his leadership, it became one of the global market leader, securing over 200 million USD in venture capital. Recently, Marcus has redirected his focus towards addressing some of the most pressing challenges of our time, the biodiversity and the climate crisis. And that's why in 2020, he founded his second venture, inoqo, a retail solution designed to help grocery retailers, F&B brands, and food suppliers in assessing and communicating the impact of their food product across the entire value chain. Thank you very much to both of you for joining today. And let's start our webinar. Maybe let's start with the poll questions. So it's a question for all of you, and please answer the question on the screen directly. Are you already calculating product climate footprint? Are you doing A for all product, B for selected product, or maybe you're just piloting, or not at all, but you're thinking about it, and finally, no, you have never heard of and you're not planning to do it? Okay, very interesting. So it seems that at the moment the majority is planning to do it, but has not really started. So I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion and you will learn a lot. So without any further delay, Teresa, the floor is yours, and looking forward to hear what you have to share with us.
Thank you so much. Let me share my slides. Okay, perfect. So my name is Teresa Schlegel, and I'm really excited to be here today to share some insights into our collaboration with inoqo on the analysis of the product carbon footprints of our food and beverage assortment. And this project is really an exciting step towards understanding and also improving the sustainability of our offerings. So before we deep dive into the collaboration with inoqo, I'm going to quickly introduce DM and also our climate strategy. So Helen already mentioned it. The dm-drogerie markt was founded already in 1973 by Götz Werner in Karlsruhe. We are a leading European drugstore with over 28 own brands. We have over 4,000 DM stores in 14 European countries. Okay, I think we keep the introduction short because we already heard some of it. And now let's briefly look into our overall sustainability strategy. So at the end, we really want to contribute to a sustainable future. This means that in order to be fit for the future as a company, we really have to do more than just focus on our retail competencies. So for us, sustainable actions, they really arise when individuals, they embrace new ideas, they take responsibility, they also implement solutions across ecological, social, cultural, and economic dimensions. So that's why we have developed our windmill of sustainability, and it really illustrates all the interconnectedness of all the elements that I just have mentioned. And it really serves for us as a guide to help us consider all those dimensions into our decision-making process. And due to the focus of today, the product carbon footprint, let's dive deeper into our climate strategy. So at the end, we do see ourselves as pioneers in sustainability, and this is why our commitment to climate protection also extends beyond compliance. So we are dedicated to achieve net zero emissions by 2045. And this is guided by a comprehensive decarbonization strategy that focuses on 5 key levers that you can see here. So it is increasing energy efficiency in our own operations. It's enhancing the use of renewable energies. And together with our partners, we also design low emissions transport, logistics, sorry. We consider ecological aspects in all of our construction measures. And of course, we do measure, monitor, and also reduce the greenhouse gas emissions of our products, which we want to have a look at today. So since 5 years, we already have been measuring and analyzing our greenhouse gas emissions with a particular focus on the Scope 3 emissions, which are mainly driven by our product assortment. And since we are aware that a significant portion of our emission falls under Scope 3, we aim to really measure these emissions in a way that allows us to obtain actionable insights rather than just relying on rough estimations. And that's why the inside-out approach of inoqo fits perfectly, but more on this shortly. Okay. So to give you a short insight also in our experience and efforts regarding product LCAs, I would like to introduce you to our highlight product range. It's called the ProClimate products. And here we really work closely with our suppliers to gather a high share of primary data, and where we then calculate ISO-conform cradle-to-cradle LCAs. And in a second step, we also analyze the results, really also focusing beyond climate change right now on 4 more impact categories, and then we drive actions to reduce those impacts. But as a third step, if there are unavoidable environmental impacts, we compensate them through ecological renaturation and biodiversity measures, and there we work together with our partner, Green Zero. So here on the next slide, you can see the 5 impact categories we are considering for the ProClimate products, and we are planning to add land and water use next year. And I also brought an example of how we transparently communicate those results to our customers in our online shop. But while the ProClimate approach can be really considered as a lighthouse project for us in terms of sustainability, it does really require significant manual effort. It's time intensive and it demands a large amount of primary data from the beginning on. And this brings us to our collaboration with inoqo, because here in contrast, inoqo really allows us to calculate a wide range of products in a much shorter time frame, also using less data and therefore less effort. So this is really key for us, as this efficiency will enable us to enhance our sustainability efforts even further. But I would say now let's deep dive into the collaboration. Okay, so the fact that inoqo specializes in food and beverage is great fit for us, since the MBO is one of our most prominent private labels. And that's why we place particular emphasis on this product range of food and beverages when looking into our Scope 3 emissions. And in addition to the MBO, inoqo also analyzes our brands Baby Love, Mivoles, Sportness, and our industry brands. Okay. I would also like to take the time to talk about the approach inoqo offers, since our motivation really extends beyond complying with Scope 3 reporting. So their inside-out approach really enables us to analyze products from the ingredient level up to the product level and even further up to the category level. And this means inoqo's approach provides us with product-specific insights across our entire assortment. And in comparison to the outside-in approach, that stops at the category level and doesn't go any further. So this inside-out approach is a huge advantage compared to the results at category level, in which products within this category, for example, let's pick plant-based drinks, they would all have the same results. So we can still, of course, use inoqo results for our Scope 3 reporting, but moreover, knowing carbon footprints on product level really enables us to optimize our existing products. We can develop lower emission alternatives. We can integrate CO2 values in our decision-making processes for all the further development and, of course, also the listing of our product range. In addition, we also have the opportunity to communicate those greenhouse gas emissions to our customers, because we want to empowering them to make really informed purchasing decisions and promote sustainable consumption habits. But I would say so much on the motivation in assessing product carbon footprints. Let's also look at our assessment scope. So as I already mentioned, we are focusing on food and beverages with our private labels, the MBO, Mivoles, Baby Love, and Sportness, as well as our industry labels. Please note that we are not considering the limited editions we saw. Okay, and now what data can you easily provide to already start your journey with inoqo? For example, nutritional values. They are anyways on the product packaging, so making this data point very easily accessible. The same is true for the packaging. For our private labels, it has not been a problem to gain this data as we already have it available, because at DM we really place value in promoting sustainable packaging for a long time. For example, through product labeling, we have really provided an incentive for our suppliers to increase the recycled content and the recyclability, and this has been very successful. And right now, we are, of course, continuously working in incorporating more primary data over time, as inoqo provides this opportunity to do so gradually. Okay, let's also have a look into some key learnings that we have in our data collection process. So I would say don't hesitate to start your product carbon footprint journey. While one might think the initial data needs are extensive, most of the required data typically already exist due to other requirements. And additional data, such as raw material origin, as I already mentioned, they can be gradually provided to inoqo, as their AI also deliver results with just minimal input. For example, as I said, the ingredient list, the nutritional values, and some basic packaging data. And as a second learning, it's data processing and sharing. It's really a key. Get your data in a unified and standardized format so that you are able to streamline processes and reduce effort, as primary data might be stored in various Excel files, I guess we know it all, and are distributed across several systems. But however, inoqo is able to exchange data with you in formats like CSV or an API. Okay, right now, you are hopefully all curious about how we access and view the results, and this happens through the inoqo platform. So the category view is a structure that allows us to quickly see our assortment structure and the products within it, and how they contribute to the overall Scope 3 emissions. So I would be able here to click on the plus sign and see all the products within. And you also have the option to integrate sales data, meaning that the CO2 footprint per product is multiplied by your sales figures to calculate the CO2 footprint of the entire assortment. And this is really especially important to assure that you put your focus on optimization efforts on those products and, of course, categories that have the highest impact. And now when we click on a product, the product view opens, and besides the results, you can easily access information about the method, about the scope, and you can download reports and share them with others. What I especially like is that the results are shown per life cycle stage with a breakdown per ingredient, both in text and graphical formats. I will show this shortly in the next slide. And of course, there's much more you can access. For example, you can see which data was provided directly and which refers to secondary data. There are fields where you can add and update data. And the platform also offers suggestions on how to communicate the results, also again, whether through text-based or icon-based formats. And now some of you might wonder why we see two results, the consumer output and the reporting average. And Markus, I think you can tell us more about it.
Yeah, very happy to do so. So basically, we differentiate between two methodologies, and every product is calculated based on both methodologies. One is our reporting PCF. So what you see here is reporting average. Here we basically use whenever we don't have primary data, we use average industry data, average statistics, average emission factors, because those values should really be used from a reporting perspective for your SBTi report, for CSRD reporting, and so on. On the other hand, we have our conservative PCF, or consumer output. And what our platform does here, whenever the platform doesn't have access to primary data, it goes in with a more conservative assumption. So if we would not know, for example, the exact packaging details of the product, the initial packaging emissions would be a bit more on the conservative side. Why do we do that? First of all, we do that because we want to avoid that our customers basically get into troubles with greenwashing allegations, because they show the impact of many products being lower than it actually is for many of them. And the other reason is because this conservative PCF really creates a very strong incentive for the suppliers upstream to share more and more and more primary data with us over time. And that's really critical, because suppliers can ultimately, and we will talk a little bit later about that, but we enable suppliers to share their supply chain secrets with us under strict NDA. We make use of that data to calculate the PCF in a more accurate way, but we don't share the recipe or the country of farming or other sensitive details with our retail customer. And this over time usually leads to the consumer communication to the conservative PCF going down. So it's also kind of a really strong incentive to get the suppliers on board.
Perfect, thank you. I brought one more slide with me. It's an example of the dm-bio fruit cereal. So as I mentioned earlier, you can download the results as a report. And this report not only details the different life cycle stages and how they contribute to the overall product's carbon footprint, but it also identifies hotspots, ingredients. And this information is really crucial for us to have informed optimization efforts. Okay, so one key take advantage you can see here is that the apricots make around 4.5% of the content, yet they have the highest CO2 impact due to the drying process. Okay, and now I will hand over again to Marcus on the topic of the choice project, in which we aim to analyze the extent to which our customers consider the CO2 footprint in their purchasing decisions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Teresa. I'll share my slides with you as well. Continue and go. I've been already introduced by our lovely moderator and my co-founder, Elaine. So you already know that inoqo is a software as a service platform that enables grocery retailers and food and beverage brands to assess the impact of the tens of thousands of food and beverage products. And we really are very proud to focus on the specific needs of the food and beverage industry. And we are assessing the impact of products across the entire life cycle of a product, and starting with climate, but also taking further impact dimensions into account. Today, I'm going to talk about our choice project, where we are very excited to have DM as our pilot partner on board. The choice project is a new project that's funded with 5 million euros in total. 16 organizations are collaborating here on that project across the world, actually. The duration is about 36 months, and it covers 8 countries in total. So what is the vision of the choice project? The vision is really to contribute to achieving, or at least not exceeding too much, the 1.5 degree climate goal, by accelerating climate action, by mainstreaming integrated assessment models, embedding them into lifestyle choices and decision-making processes for consumers, for producers, and other actors in the food, agriculture, and land use sector. With this pilot, the goal is to really help consumers to adapt more healthy and more sustainable food choices, integrated into their, daily shopping routine. So what we are planning to do here together with the M is to get ultimately the product climate footprint of DM's products in front of thousands of consumers. And the motivation is really to address this global rise in meat and animal product consumption, just make people aware of that there's a big impact in terms of what product they're choosing. A key component of the pilot is obviously that we are assessing the impact of DM's food and beverage products with our inoqo technology, and then to make use of social engagement for green marketing. So we'll basically use this enabler, which the inoqo product impact assessment solution is, with the goal to increase sustainability, consumption, adoption, and really reduce the CO2 footprint of consumers. And yeah, that's what we're very excited about to do. So what is the goal? The goal, as I already mentioned, is really to help people to adopt more healthy and sustainable food consumption lifestyle choices. And one goal is to explore, for example, if CO2 labels can nudge consumers towards making more low-impact food choices when they're comparing similar products. But the Choice project also aims to generate empirical evidence that will further inform future EU policies, but also business practices. And we will also obviously share these learnings here with other retailers, with other brands, which is really important. Consumers will see the CO2 footprint of DM's food products straight in the DM online shop and integrated into the DM app. They will find them on product detail pages, but DM will also publish promotional content that will kind of educate consumers about the benefits of more sustainable products, recommend more sustainable alternatives, and this way really we will together try to have a hopefully positive impact on consumption choices of DM's shoppers. Now let's take a quick look at activities and methodology. So the Choice pilot, as I already mentioned, uses our product impact data and digital infrastructure to explore how climate information can influence consumer behavior at the point of sale. We're going to run real-world A/B tests within DM's online shop and in their app. We aim for at least 5 live campaigns. Each of them should reach thousands of users. Especially, we want to include the famous LOHAS. So on top of that, we also want to really get access to those mainstream shoppers that might not have climate having an impact on food on top of their mind. Which tools and techniques are we going to use? We plan to use intuitive CO2 footprint labels. We plan to use personalized messages and data storytelling, educational content that explains those labels, and nudging and behavioral models to assess the impact. And yeah, the goal is really to drive climate conscious decisions among both the already motivated consumers who already care about the impact of their food choices, as well as mainstream consumers who might not have that topic on top of their mind, by really making the environmental impact visible, relatable, and actionable. Outcomes. So what else do we want to achieve with regards to assortment strategy and internal decision making? So as we've already heard from Teresa, a goal is obviously to use that data also for, using it internally, for applying it to the strategy with regards to maybe sourcing decisions or listing decisions or promotion decisions, to help DM to identify high impact categories where DM can really focus their CO2 reduction efforts on and guide reformulations of certain high impact products, or ideally also look at product swaps. Obviously, we also want to support DM in integrating impact into operations. So the goal is to collaborate with category and brand teams to embed climate insights into product development, product sourcing, and product communication strategies. Optimization for consumer engagement is also key. So the goal is to use behavioral data for refined nudging, labeling, and campaign design to really maximize the influence of that data that we have to influence shopper decisions. Obviously, as you can imagine, with every scientific project, measuring will be a very important part of it. So it's really about evaluating the engagement of consumers. We'll be able to take a look at the clicks, at the participation of consumers, and the goal is to really understand how these messages resonate across various consumer segments. We're very much looking forward to derive learnings from that. Obviously, a key goal is to really enable long-term adaptation, so to build the foundation for a broad rollout of product-level climate labeling and behavior-based incentives. Ultimately, obviously, also with the goal to support Scope 3 strategies of retailers, because obviously our individual consumption as consumers has to play a big role in allowing retailers to allow them to reduce their Scope 3 goals. Because if we don't change the way we eat and the way we buy food, it's going to be impossible to achieve all those net zero goals with all the best technologies and new food products in place. Good. Then a quick outlook to sum it up. So very excited to share that DM is going to go live with first products now in August. So very soon you will be able to find the product impact of first dm-drogerie food product, drogerie markt food products in the online shop and in the app. The duration of the pilot, where we're really measuring things, will last 12 months. And there will be 5 themed campaigns where we will test different approaches on how to really influence consumers and support consumers in taking more sustainable choices. Focus areas of that work will be to develop campaign content and align data flows, coordinate rollout timelines with them, monitor consumer behavior, and refine strategies in real time. Final evaluation is scheduled to happen summer next year. So here we basically will assess the impact of CO2 transparency, of nudging, of these personalized messages that we will put in front of consumers on purchasing decisions. And obviously we will measure the change in average CO2 emissions per euro spent as a key outcome. Yeah, if you're interested in learning more about how that all works and about our inoqo methodology, I would like to invite you to download also our methodology on our website, where you can find very much in detail how the climate assessment based on very limited data initially works, and how you can then granularly remove or add more and more primary data to further improve the results. And here, obviously, also my contact details in case you would like to reach out directly. But I think now, Ellen, back to you.
Exactly. Thank you, both of you, for sharing so insightful insights. Teresa, really, I think DM has become an example for many retailers and brands out there, you know, who are thinking and wondering where to start, how to start. So it's really important to have people like you spreading out the word. So really, thank you, thank you. I would like now to have an open discussion, ask you both of you some questions, and maybe let's start with you, Teresa. So you have shared the efforts that DM has put into calculating the impact of your product. It takes time, it takes, you know, you have to collect data, etc. What is the business case behind all those efforts? How can you describe this?
Okay, I think sustainability is in general really necessary for a long-term business viability. And as you could also see in our windmill, our commitment to sustainability is not really just about compliance, it's really about doing the right thing for the planet and for future generations. And being really a pioneer in sustainability, it really allows us to innovate and set industry standards, and therefore we can really also inspire other companies to follow. And also by calculating the carbon footprint and then being transparent about it, we build trust with our customers. And we all know that today's customers, they are increasingly aware of environmental issues and also prefer to support brands to demonstrate sustainability. So I think those are some points for our business case.
And I think we heard this across our customers, that being transparent towards your loyal customer and also to this new generation of customers who wants to see and understand the impact is really crucial. You talk,
And maybe, Ellen, let me add from that, because I've just had the pleasure to join a sustainability event of Europe's largest grocery retailer last week in Germany, in person in Neckarsulm at Schwarz Group. And what I found super interesting, because basically their managing director responsible for sustainability basically kind of, answered to the same question. And he really also added that it's a lot also about being attractive for employees. I mean, more and more people want to work for a company where they're part of the solution and not being part of the problem. It's the mix also about, attracting financing for attractive conditions. So it's a whole mix of topics. And it's really exciting to see that more and more companies realize that. And although I obviously also need to say that there is some companies who are really backtracking at the moment and reprioritizing things. But I really like the way how you put it, Teresa, that ultimately, it's the license to operate, that you as a company act on these important issues. And what's also critical is, I mean, without fixing the climate crisis and biodiversity crisis, the very products that you are selling every day are just really threatened. We might not be able to produce them anymore in the quantities required. Sorry, just to add from my side what I'm frequently hearing here on that question. But thank you very much, obviously, for sharing also from your side.
So we heard from both of you, so consumer is important, investor, employee, and also regulatory. And on this point of compliance, Marcus, how do you use the data for Scope 3 reporting?
Yeah, very good questions. I mean, obviously, using our data for Scope 3 reporting is one of the key reasons, one of multiple key reasons that our customers use our data usually for. And we, with our inoqo platform, provide the PCF split up into multiple stages and sub-stages. So you really get not just the two PCFs, the conservative and the reporting PCF, but you see those PCFs being split up into the agriculture stage, production stage, transport stage, and even within the transport stage, you can differentiate between the PCF that arises from transporting the product to the central warehouse of the retailer, from the retailer's warehouse to the store, from the store to the consumer, and so on, which makes it very easy to basically integrate that data into, ideally, a greenhouse accounting platform where the greenhouse gas accounting team can then basically configure what type of data is anyway covered already within the Scope 1 and Scope 2 within their tool, and what part of our results should then be assigned to the different Scope 3 categories, obviously with the main focus on Scope 3 category 1. But also think about end of life, where we provide data, for example, in other subcategories. So that's how the data can easily be integrated then into the report.
But right now you talk a lot about data. It seems that you need data for processing, for transport, and everything. So I would like to ask you, in your opinion, what is the importance of the data quality and a database in general?
I really liked how your learnings, Teresa, that it's just important to get started, and that's really what we see so often, and which is really part of our core philosophy, that we make it very easy to get started, even for A-brand products where you don't have the composition, where you don't have the recipe. With our ingredient composition algorithm, we can accurately estimate the composition of products initially. If we don't have primary data, we take statistics into account, like where does the cocoa that's imported to that production region typically arise from, what's the composition, what's the mix, and then we can basically assign emission factors to the pro rata share across these countries. So that's really a key part of our philosophy that we believe in, that we need to make it as easy as possible for retailers to get started, while then really also offering the right incentives to improve the data quality over time. And I've been earlier already talking a bit about this conservative methodology, which will also be used by DM for consumer communication, and which should also be used for internal decision making, because this data can then be used to, for example, rank climate-friendly products higher within an online shop by some retailers, or it can be used to basically not promote the worst 10% of products anymore in I don't know, leaflets. I mean, there's a million of ways how retailers can then really, in a positive way, hopefully primarily, and I know that's very important to them also to have a very positive relationship with suppliers, to basically really also nudge suppliers towards almost taking that PCF as a new competitive dimension, understanding that it's no longer just about the price and about the quality of the product, but that retailers also start looking at the PCF of a product, and that lowering, being able to having a lower PCF than other products on the shelf gives them a competitive advantage. And in combination with that conservative methodology, we really have a mechanism in place that encourages suppliers to share more and more and more primary data over time, which allows us to replace those conservative assumptions by actual primary data, which is great for our retail customers, because this way they can really benefit from activities that are happening upstream, like suppliers replacing maybe meat content by plant-based substitutes gradually, or by switching to more sustainable packaging materials, reducing packaging weight, and so on. So they can benefit from that from a reporting perspective. But yeah, it also really kind of, this methodology kind of starts that journey, that flywheel that over time leads to better and better quality, better results, to more insights, which then unlocks new steps towards action, getting started with optimization. So it's really all about that flywheel that allows you to get started easy, but then drives you into more and more accuracy over time. I hope I answered your question.
You did, but also part of my question was in order to, to provide insights to retailers, for them to communicate with their consumers, to really make marketing decisions based on those data. How granular do you need your database, or how,
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think what we're very proud at inoqo is our own inoqo impact database. With regards to database, there's basically three ways that we see out there. The first one we call mix and match. So here, consultants or solution providers just pick individual PCF values from various databases. Whatever they find, they're going to take, and that approach is obviously highly problematic, because these databases use different assumptions, use different background databases, and so on. So this is something we would definitely clearly recommend to avoid. The second, more mature approach is to really look at hundreds and thousands of individual life cycle assessments and peer-reviewed studies that have been basically published in scientific literature. And then basically try to harmonize these hundreds and thousands of life cycle assessments by really taking the individual underlying data that went into each LCA to this way come up with a database, which is a more mature approach, but really brings lots of challenges along, like, for example, that these life cycle assessments typically happened over the course of many years and even decades. So you basically get an average over many, many years, which might not be really reflective of the reality that's going on at the moment in terms of electricity mix, in terms of deforestation, in terms of maybe reduction of fertilizer use. And you also don't really have the opportunity to differentiate between what happened in your baseline. What did reality look like out there in your baseline year versus your latest year? So the approach that we apply at inoqo, which we are very proud of and which is very unique, is we've built our database bottom up, which means we basically look at a very broad range of statistics like FAO Stat or Aquastat, International Fertilizer Association. And from these statistics, we really know, for example, what's the yield of cocoa in Cote d'Ivoire versus Peru versus country A, country B. how much fertilizer is being used there on average, how do they irrigate, how much do they irrigate, and this way we can construct the database from the bottom up in a highly consistent and very granular way, and that allowed us to come up with 193,000 country/ingredient specific emission factors, which is by far exceeding anything else out there in terms of quality, consistency, and really removes this massive need for using proxies that you usually see in life cycle assessment. Because we have, I think I just looked at some examples, we have lime, a value for lime for 107 countries, or a value for milk for 170 countries. Obviously, it's not accurate, because accurate is only primary data, right? That's where it gets accurate, but it's really highly representative for what's going on in a certain country, and it can be also then be updated in a much easier way over the course of time. And I think that's really core, that when you perform, when you do an exercise like that, you really do it based on a database that is really built bottom up, and you don't rely on one of the other approaches. And that's what we're very proud of at inoqo, that we can offer that to our customers.
Thank you, Marcus. And I think, just to add a point on this, it's also probably the only way, if you're really serious about reducing your emission, it's the only way to start in order to have effective reduction goals.
I mean, it's the only way, unless you believe that you will get access to primary data, a lot of primary data, very fast. Because obviously this is only relevant to the point until we have primary data. And this is also another exciting opportunity that we have with our database, that actually it builds the foundation to later on replace those country-specific, the country representative data by farm level data, where we can then really take in what's the yield on the 400 farms that have produced the oats for the M's private label milk, for a private label oat milk, for example, and what's their fertilizer use, by collaborating with farm level product impact assessment solution providers, which we do through the European Sustainable Food Coalition. That's not live yet, but that's the journey we are on, which is going to be very critical, because ultimately, as a retailer, you can only really get down to net zero if you are under control, and if you can incentivize more sustainable practices down on the farm level. And but I mean, that's a whole separate webinar. So I think we have to discuss that more in detail in a separate discussion.
But this is a very good bridge to my next question for you, Teresa. We talked now about data granularity and the importance of primary data. And I wanted to know, from a retailer perspective, how do you balance transparency with data complexity? What are the challenges to getting primary data with your supplier? Can you tell us more?
Sure. I mean, in general, the goal would really be to have as much primary data available as possible. But as Marcus already said, it's really crucial that you just start your journey and then gradually improve data complexity. For us at DM, we do share long-standing and trustworthy relationships with our partners, and this is really valuable in central in transition towards more primary data. But of course, there is data some suppliers don't want to share. And with our industry brands, of course, they have more sensitive data. And there, it's great that do offer the opportunity to then exchange with the suppliers directly and get the data for us, basically.
You want to add, Marcus, on this sharing mechanism and the importance of confidentiality for suppliers?
Yeah, I mean, I can just really confirm that even very large retailers who try to get sensitive data from, I mean, it's easier with the private label brand products for sure. Here, retailers have a much stronger lever, and you can usually get the recipe, or you agree on the recipe. You can agree on the country of farming, where the ingredients come from, and things like that. But especially with regards to A-brand products, they are not going to share the recipe of their products with you as a retailer. And this is why we really see that these supply engagement capabilities on our side are so crucial, that enable us to collect primary data under NDA from the suppliers, not share it downstream with the retailers, however, use it to basically get a more accurate picture of the footprint of the product by placing those conservative assumptions in the context of our conservative PCF by real-world primary data. And that's really crucial to have on the one hand this conservative PCF mechanism, on the other hand this confidential data sharing mechanism to really unlock this challenge of being able to take more and more of data into account. And obviously, this also opens up future opportunities to use that very same data, not only from a climate perspective, but to also use it, for example, for biodiversity assessment or, from a packaging perspective. And this is really the direction that we're taking with inoqo, that we allow retailers to get deeper insights into the footprint of their products, also looking at other aspects, but also enabling them to optimize these products. Here we're very excited to also get some support from DM with regards to developing a new product, which is called inoqo Optimization Insights, where we provide retailers and their suppliers not only an overview over the hotspots within their products and within their assortments or within a certain supplier, but where we also recommend very specific steps and actions they can take to reduce the impact of that product. And that's very ingredient specific stuff, like, if cashew nuts are your number one hotspot, obviously there is steps like transitioning towards more regenerative agriculture, but there's also areas like improving the shelling technology, which leads to a lot of food waste and other issues, which might be very energy intense. So it's a very broad range, very detailed set of recommendations that are really specific to the hotspot of a certain product where we provide insights into. And we're very glad to also have your support here on developing this new product.
But maybe a last question for both of you. We talk a lot now about how do you engage with your suppliers and the importance of them sharing, feeling secure that they can share in a confidential way. But how do you incentivize your suppliers to share data with you? How do you get to impact communication? How do you do that? Supplier engagement is really a hot topic at the moment. So is there a way to incentivize them? Both of you, anyone who wants to start, just go ahead.
I can quickly start. So I think on the one hand, it's clear communication, and then also really setting tangible incentives are key for our supplier engagement. We do really regularly communicate with our customers about our commitments to sustainability, about our journey, and also our demand for environmentally friendly products. And as I mentioned before, we already do set incentives such as product labeling for recycled content and recyclability that have been a success. And with the ProClimate products and now joining the Choice project, we are really setting more incentives for our suppliers to be also competitive from a product carbon footprint perspective.
Marcus, anything you want to add?
Yeah, not much to add to that. Just that I think it's really important what you said, to really take the suppliers along on the journey, communicate, really allow them to understand why it's necessary for you as a retailer to stay competitive and to win market share, to make progress on these topics. Because the better they understand the challenges that you are facing, the more they will be able to relate to them and understand that you're genuine about your efforts and that you are genuine about taking action. But as already discussed, it's also a lot about really providing incentives, like For example, recommending more sustainable products in a certain category as more sustainable alternatives, educating consumers that certain products have a lower footprint than others, and thereby allowing these suppliers who are producing those products to just generate more sales. Or that's, you know, like what other retailers are doing is that they actively kind of, you know, remove the worst performing products from promotions, from marketing content. And yeah, it's all, as already said earlier, it's all about really getting this message across to the suppliers that it's no longer enough to talk, it's no longer enough to think and to just commit, but it's really getting critical for them to start taking action. And suppliers need to understand that they have a clear economic disadvantage if they don't start moving towards net zero as well, or to formulate it in a better way or in a positive way, that it's a huge business opportunity for them to make sure that they're in the lead, to make sure that they're producing the most climate friendly and environmental friendly products within their category, because this is how they can maximize their chances to really generate revenue down the road and in the future.
Thank you both. We are perfect on time. I would like now to go to the questions. So I think this one is mostly for Teresa. Did the work with product carbon footprints change any of your assumptions on what sustainable products are?
Really good question. So first of all, we are still in the process of analyzing all the results we got. We have been analyzing a few thousand products, so it's going to take some time to really deep dive into the learnings, but we are really excited what key learnings we will gain. And of course, database results really support our assumptions. And this makes the effects of, for example, substitution or the reduction of ingredients more measurable.
I think maybe the example you shared earlier about the drying process of the apricots was also quite an insight that sometimes we don't realize it's not only about agriculture, it can be also about the way ingredients are processed. And in that case, drying is actually quite energy intensive. And coming back to the discussion we had before, depending on which country you are, which kind of energy you're using, it can become a so-called hotspot in your LCA.
Of course,
That's
and then
also
also
something.
besides the ingredients, looking at the packaging and stuff. So it's really nice to see the different hotspots. Marcus.
Sorry for interrupting you, but it's something we frequently hear, that, you know, obviously everyone knows about the meat and about beef and about the milk products and so on. But looking then at topics like nuts or dried fruits, and especially in your assortment, which is not very meat rich, it's obviously very interesting to see the results and see hotspots showing up that most consumers for sure have no clue about. That's for me especially exciting, looking at that data and looking at the PCF of the products.
Wonderful. We're perfectly on time. It's 4:30. So thank you very much, Teresa, for sharing the insight, being so transparent about the challenge and the solution. Thank you, Marcus, for sharing your knowledge and your experience. And thank you all for attending and the questions. If you have any topic you would like to cover, again, feel free to drop us an email at hello@inoqo.com. And I wish you all a very pleasant afternoon. And see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Have a great
much.
day. Bye.
Bye.